Welcome to Thought Leader Life number 26. I'm Michael Procopio.
And I'm Mitchell Levy with the great and amazing Jeffrey Hayzlett.
Yes, so Jeffrey, could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, I'm Jeffrey Hayzlett. What more do you need to say other than that? host of the #1 primetime television show, the CSuite with Jeffrey Hayzlett. So right there, author of a few books, and sometime cowboy. That's what I do.
All right.
And Jeff, by the way, for those that are listening on the podcast, it's worth coming to the video at some point in time because Jeffrey's office is amazing. Nice artwork in the back.
Yeah, those are all original pieces by a guy named Gabby out of Amsterdam. There's a whole big story behind that, but guy that I found on social media was a street artist, and now he's getting over 10,000 hours of painting. So we got a lot of it sitting right there behind me on the artwork on the wall.
That's beautiful.
Oh, nice. So Jeffrey, what's your definition of a thought leader?
I don't know, somebody that people pay attention to in terms of thought. You're looking for somebody that's saying that's a little bit controversial, not necessarily I won't use the word controversial, but that stretches me, that stretches my thought, that stretches my thinking in terms of the kind of person that I look to be able to say he's got some content there that's worth listening to.
Nice, perfect. Hey, I have a question. We're going to do a unique show as I'm thinking this through. So first, we've known each other for a long time, and then you had asked me to join the mastermind group. And during that group, you introduced me to a term that now is fairly out there, and I've got it everywhere, and that term is activate.
Yep.
Why don't you talk about what does activate mean to you and the network?
Well, I mean, you're not a thought leader unless you really truly activate it. You're not really an author unless you activate it, which means get somebody to buy it and get other people to talk about it. And I think that's the key word. And we have a public relations firm called Tallgrass, and our saying is, if you want to run with the big dogs, you got to learn to pee in the tall grass. And what I mean by all of that is that it doesn't mean anything if we get your name out there if you don't activate it. Get it out to the community that cares about it. So what if it gets published? Did anyone read it? Did anyone see it? Did anyone listen to it? Did anyone move and take action based on that? And that's the key point. And so activation around whatever it is, this interview, for instance, the fact that we'll do this interview with you, and then right afterwards my team will take and activate it through our channels to show, hey, Jeff Hayzlett's a thought leader, or wherever it might be. Although I'm still very upset I'm number 26 on your episode. I don't know why I'm not number 1, but nonetheless, I won't take too much offense to it. So.
Oh no, yeah, actually that's great. Thank you for reminding us. This is actually our half year doing this show. So it's a very inaugural, a big feeling for us that we got you on our half-year mark. So
yeah, half-year mark. I'm either going to end the year for you, or we're going to keep it going. One of the two. There we go.
Well, yeah. If we don't have a show next week, then hey, we've ended with a bang. So on the activate thing, what's fascinating to me, and so let's dive down 1 second. It's not just having a PR firm. It's not just getting the brand out and the things that you say, but it's also having advocates who share your message to their networks.
Well, raving fans. I think everybody wants brand ambassadors for them. Brand is nothing but a promise delivered. But there are times when I put thoughts out there, or sayings, or comments, and then what happens is my community then takes it and goes, "That's right. I was thinking the same thing," or "No, here's a different twist on it." Or they say, "Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." All those things are great because it gets people, to activate and gets people active and gets people, in terms of thought-provoking conversations. And that's, I think, the real key thing to a community, about being part of a family of greater numbers of people that are like you or similar to you, and that want to do some things that you like to do. And I think that's really what it's about.
And so, Jeff, what's some of the tips that you use to build? You're really good at this. You've built a good fan base, but very eclectic in a number of different places. What are some of the tips that you use? What do you do for that?
Well, I mean, I just try to practice pretty good practices in itself. I mean, I try to follow back the people that follow me. That's one. I know people say, well, you shouldn't do that. And I'm going like, why? I mean, I'm so happy that they know my name, so I try to treat people the way I like to be treated, And I just think that's the polite thing to do. When someone says please, you say thank you, and vice versa. And I think that's just a polite way of doing things. The other thing is we develop, a system. I try not to kill everybody with everything. I mean, we have a lot of things to activate. Like yesterday I was named columnist, contributing columnist, main columnist for Entrepreneur Magazine. Well, we send that out to our entire database, so to speak, to alert people that, hey, look what happened. We were able to be picked, and here's what my first column was about. And but there are other things that we do that we might take, or an article or an interview, and say that's not for everyone. So we stratify the things in which we activate. So we say this is, and you can call it a gold, silver, bronze, or you can call it good, better, best. And what we try to do is to define what is worthy of a tweet, what's worthy of a tweet in Facebook, what's worthy of a tweet in Facebook and LinkedIn, and then also understand in each of those communities they don't operate the same way. So I try to, if I take a tidbit, I might put a little bit more information in Facebook and a little bit more about the personal side. So like even about my television shows, I might tweet that, hey, I'm doing filming today, which I try to tell people about what I'm doing. And then in Facebook, I show them how we're doing it. And then in LinkedIn, I typically talk about why we're doing it, which is to my business, more of my business community. So each one has its own flavor, and based on that, that's how we tend to activate it.
You got me thinking. I've got to actually get back. I got to get back in the show. I love the who, what, where, and why, how for what tool you're going to use and where. It's very appropriate. And it is interesting to watch if you're not. So this is I use your name, by the way, not in vain.
In vain? Come on, use it. Most people use it in vain. So go ahead.
Only when you talk about bacon. But no, not very often do I use your name in vain. What I do when I stand in front of a group, particularly a group of people who are claiming they're busy, and they're so busy they can't respond to their emails or respond to their social media, and I point to you, right, and all the things that you do. And what I say is, and this really, I think, to me, attributes a lot to you. You got a heart, right? And that heart says you care about other people. And if somebody reaches out to Jeffrey Hayzlett on any social media, guess who's going to respond?
That's
Jeffrey
me.
Hayzlett. Yeah, not an admin, not somebody else. And and it's that, and you're spending time and energy, making sure that people who are either fans or following you or future advocates who are there, that they turn into advocates because they have a real interaction with you, and that's a big deal.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I also respond to the guys that are jerks too. Like, I had somebody that wrote the other day that said, if I see one more slow motion walk on Jeff Hayzlett on the CSuite television show, I'm going to throw up. I tweeted back, well, maybe you should fast forward it. Then I'm not walking so slow. But and it's okay. I mean, I just think you take care of the people that brought you to the dance. I mean, that's who you go home with. So you took the time to write to me, and it gets it does get tough sometimes because I have people write to me, and I just recently wrote a blog about it, and a couple tweets about it. But someone says, hey, let's have coffee. Shut up! I don't drink coffee. What do you want? And if you want to. Just be direct. Tell me, Jeff, I want to meet with you about such and such and such and such. I appreciate that greater than I got to go through 5 flipping messages to get you to tell me what you want because you're trying to be easy about, let's go for coffee. I don't drink coffee. I do business, okay? Now, I might drink other beverages and that, but I don't have time to just have chit-chat. I want, what is it you want? What do you want to get accomplished? I'd be more than happy to help you if I can, because I have a real, as you know, Mitchell, I typically have a pretty good servant mentality of, trying to help others. So, which kills my partner, by the way, kills my partner and my staff because I'll talk to everybody. I spend a lot of time doing that kind of stuff.
No, you do, and you're good at that. I think. Although, remember, even though you don't necessarily drink coffee, we had you in Coffee Crazy from Robert Galinsky, and you had a really nice quote in there. So
I love the smell of coffee almost as much as I love the smell of money. That was my quote. So because I do love the smell of coffee, and every once in a while I'm allowed to have an espresso. I used to always call those espressos, but now I was told really the word is espresso. That tells you how bad I am at coffee.
But I think a good hint for those people who are reaching out. So now, what's nice about the world, you could reach out to anyone who's really heavy and really big in social. You could reach out to them. But as Jeffrey mentioned, the important part is make it quick, make it fast, make it efficient. Jeff, you'll slow it down if you need to, but you want people to let you know what they want pretty quickly.
Well, I think the more you get to know C-suite executives, the more you get to know, I think, successful individuals, they cut through the crap pretty quick. And yes, you might be unique, and yes, it might be a unique solution. We probably have seen it before, or at least the framework of what it is. And so my advice is just be direct and to the point. I respect that a lot more than give me a bunch of fluff. Like, tell me you suck or you're great. That's awesome. I'll tell you back. Well, so what do I give a crap about what you think or whatever? I might say those things too, so that's fun.
So do me a favor. Let's just swap quickly to the thought leadership funnel. We haven't covered that on air. Share your thought process on that, and then we'll take it in a new direction.
Well, I think in terms of the funnel, I really like the funnel in terms of the different pieces that it has to it, in terms of being an advocate, future advocate, and the various aspects of it. I also want to keep people's mind around what do you do once you're in the funnel, where's the funnel go? And that is around that activation and how in which you increase your reach. I think real great thought leaders, you can be a thought leader of one. I think that's important. If people respect your opinion, and you go and you ask someone, a thought leader, maybe it's your parent, maybe it's whoever it could be, you never know, a good associate or whatever. But when I think of real thought leaders, I think of those that have great followings and great amplification, and that is they have a place in which to go advocate it to, and so they have a good following. So think about that as you're trying to develop your unique positioning as a thought leader.
So that's a good question. So somebody is listening to this, and they have what they would consider to be a reasonable following. What do you think? What's the next steps? What types of things should somebody be thinking about?
Adding zeros. Adding zeros. I think. I talk about this all the time. So yeah, I first thought, ooh, man, I got a couple thousand followers. When it was bigger, when it was 20,000. When it's 200,000, it's even bigger. You got 2 million, it's 2 million. And no matter how big you think you are, there's always someone bigger. So keep adding zeros, and I think that's the key, whether it's zeros to the bottom line, zeros to the top line, or whether it's zeros in terms of your advocates or even your brand followers, those brand ambassadors, those people that really love you and think you walk on water, then that's what you really want to do.
Got it. So now, can you give shortly, for those that, I know there's people who probably haven't seen C-Suite with Jeffrey Hayzlett, for those that haven't, I know, blasphemy. For those that haven't seen it, what's the overall premise, and then let's tie that into thought leadership.
By the way, there are lots of people who haven't seen the show, but there are a lot of people who have. That's why we're number one. We're seen 10 times more than any other primetime news show there is out there today, and it's really freaking impressive. But there are a lot of people who don't see it. I mean, I get pitches every day of people saying, "Hey, I want to be on your show. Have you actually seen my show? My show isn't one you actually come on." And it's amazing the number of PR people that write to me and say, "Hey, I want to. Would you consider us writing a blog?" I don't have a blog on my show. Are you an idiot? So there are people that do that. But for those that do watch the shows, or those that want to know what the premise is I see things that happen, and I want to go and ask the question, why? And how did it happen? And what did you learn from it? And the premise is we get to go into the C-suite, where 99% of the people who even work in the company never get to go. So we're granted access into this elite room or rooms or into this, environment with all of these other C-suite leaders, and we get to sit down and ask them any question about what it is. Like, give you a good example, Domino's. I was at Domino's recently, and I'm watching the television, and I see a commercial that Domino's is advertising that they suck. I mean, and I'm thinking, as a former CMO of a Fortune 100 company, I'm watching, who in their right mind spends tens of millions of dollars to put on a commercial that says we suck? I mean, why? Why would they do that? And who raised their hand, quite frankly, in the boardroom and said, hey, stop this. Everyone's talking about how good we are. No, we suck. And we suck so much we should advertise about it. So I wanted to know what the premise of that was. Why would a company go out and do that? And by the way, was the guy that raised his hand, is he still there? I mean, was he killed off or bumped off or whatever? And by the C-suite mafia, and so what we do is we take you in there and we tell you what they were thinking, what happened, and then what the conversations were like around that room. And I asked them, when he said that, what did you think? And and then what were the results? And in Domino's case, it's phenomenal. You know, they found out that being transparent and telling the truth actually works. And so far, their competition hasn't found about it because their stock is through the roof, all-time high, and they're just doing great.
I like it. So clearly, that's one of the best practices that came out of the show. But we knew this before. Being transparent is always the most important thing. What was a interesting walking into the C-suite of these companies? What was an interesting surprise? What did you not expect?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of them I don't expect. I mean, like, you know, let's take MGM for an example. You know, I get their annual report and they're talking. I'm an investor, you know, so I disclose that. But I'm an investor in the company. You know, small stuff. I'm pennies, nothing like they, you know, big money guys. And I get the annual report, and in there they're talking about sustainability and philanthropy and diversity. I'm going, are you kidding me? This is MGM. This is Las Vegas. They're in the city of sin, and the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. So why is a company that, quite frankly, could be given a free pass, a hall pass, you know, on environmentally being sustainable? Because, you know, they own a frickin' pyramid, for goodness sakes. I mean, why are they talking like this? What would be the value of that? Well, then I go and find out, well, their electricity bill is $350,000 a day. Okay, that's real money. Okay, so if they cut that and reduce that, you know, by X, that goes to the bottom line. Now I'm starting to really get it. So that was a surprise. Another surprise was Life Technologies. Life Technologies is a company that we were in the company. They actually let us come in while they're in the middle of selling the company. Like 2 months later, the company was going to be sold for $13.6 billion to Thermo Fisher. And yet they and we knew that, they knew that, it had been public, and they were going through this transition. They still let us in, which is phenomenal. It was
no
phenomenal.
kidding.
The stuff that we came out of and that was showed. But one of the things that did make the show that I thought was really surprising, and I wrote a blog about it, was the executive there, Greg, actually said, the CEO actually said, you have to be irrational. And I thought, what? He was speaking to a group of Harvard MBAs at a chapter of Harvard MBAs in San Diego, and the CEO said, you have to be irrational. I thought, why? What do you mean irrational? Who's irrational? I don't get that. And then what he said, look, we have to take people from point A to point B, and that's our goal, is to get them to B. But see, I have to tell them way over here to go for C in order to get them to B. I have to be irrational. I have to be almost crazy, where people say, he's nuts, he's nuts. There's no way we can possibly get there, in order to get him where he really wants them to go. And I thought, that's kind of a little bit deceptive, but to some extent I really, truly get that, and I thought that was surprising, and I get that. I mean, it makes sense to me.
So any interesting surprises, positive or negative, about sort of employee advocacy? I mean, when you look at the C-suite, how does the C-suite get the entire employee base to be advocates, to activate their messages? What have you seen?
I think the biggest thing has always been walking the talk. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. At MGM, and they've got an employee council there that decides how they're going to spend millions of charitable dollars. That's pretty unique. Most of the time, it's the CEO comes in and says, oh, we're going to give the money to, I don't know, that happened to me at Kodak, to the Eastman School of Music. What? You know, that's the decision you made? Okay, great. Well, the employees didn't have anything to say in it. What about, in this case, MGM decides, look, it's really tough out there, the economy is tough, and they decide how to give millions and millions of dollars away. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love it. So it's really interesting. So for those that are listening, I would definitely say follow Jeffrey Hayzlett. I mean, I like the at Jeffrey Hayzlett. Follow you on Facebook and other places, because what's interesting, you get an inside look as to things that are going. I have to tell you, when you're behind the scenes and you're shooting and you show pictures of what's going on behind the scenes, I always think, hey, this is nice, inside view. I get to see a thought, the life of a thought leader, which is kind of what this show's about. And
I posted videos once where the production guys were going to the shoot, and then we ran out of gas because we were using the guy's car, and he forgot to get gas. I mean, what are you, an idiot? And so I actually cut a video of him pumping gas, going, what a career changer this is going to be for this guy. So I mean, I was riding his ass, which he needed to have ridden, because he didn't stop that morning, get up early enough to go get gas, and we're in the middle of a shoot about to ruin the whole thing because he forgot to get gas. So we're pushing the van into a gas station. Luckily, we found one.
Now, you mentioned this before, but for those that don't know, what I like as well is your vertical alignment. So as a marketing guy, as a consultant, as a high-level speaker, you also see the need of companies for marketing, so you bought yourself a nice marketing company, Tallgrass.
Yeah.
Where else have you expanded to sort of service your client base better?
Well, that we're doing the CSuite network. I think that's a big piece of it, where we've created a community using Jive software. We're creating an online network. I describe it as LinkedIn on steroids. I'm sure some people don't like the way I describe it that way, but a place in which C-suite executives that are $10 million or greater can gather online to ask each other questions and get key information that they like from people that they trust, and that's other C-suite executives. Because when you're in that C-suite, I don't care whether you're on Main Street or you're on Wall Street, the only thing that separates you is zeros. Same problem, same employees, same issues, same everything. The only difference is the numbers behind the numbers, the zeros behind the numbers. So what we did is we created this community. We're doing a series of conferences. We've got an academy where you can get courses. We're going to have a book club. We're going to have all those pieces where you can go, and even going to run C-suite TV there as well. And we're going to have a number of television shows that we'll feature as part of that activity.
Yeah, it's a very broad brush campaign, and I was actually at the first conference, and it was actually amazing. Some really top-notch speakers and some really amazing interaction.
Yeah, it went well. We put it in Dallas. Some people say, "Why'd you do it in Dallas?" I said, "Well, if we screwed up, and we could say, oh, geez, it was Dallas." But actually, it was really well attended, and despite Dallas, we had a great conference, and it really was a good conference. I know the people watching from Dallas are going to be pissed, but I'm just, I'm having fun with you guys.
Actually, Dallas was fine. All right, so this is going to be the toughest question. Who was your favorite?
Well, the other ones weren't tough before. Oh, come on.
Oh, this is tough, Jeffrey. Who was your favorite speaker from the conference?
Oh, my favorite speaker from the conference.
This is one of those amazing areas where you get to shout out one or more people. And there are different reasons why you'd want to do that. So.
Well, yeah, I can name a sponsor, I can name a friend, I can name a professional colleague, I can name another C-suite executive.
By the way, that was part of the question.
Yeah, so I can name all of those people, but the real person that I liked was Steve Rizzo. And Steve Rizzo is a comedian. Used to have his own Showtime special. Show on Showtime and HBO. He's one of the funniest guys I've ever met in my life, and he does this Italian routine, which is awesome. But he also ties it to you need to perform, but how you really need to just take care of things. And I thought it was really good, insightful.
Fascinating. It's interesting. I would have sworn you would have gone with like a Gary V.
Gary V was good. I mean, he set a record for saying the F word in 28 times in half an hour.
I think he did pretty well on the F word. Yes.
No, I counted him. It was 28 times in 30 minutes. He said the F word. It was a new world record for Gary. He crushed it, so to speak, if you use that. It was one of his first business book titles. But no, every speaker and everything. That's what you always look for. I always look for keepers. And in this particular case, there were keepers in every single speech and every single thing. I will tell you that the best interview that I liked was with Peter Friedman of Live World. I thought that was a real interaction. We talked about communities, much like we're talking about here, and I thought that was a really great time. I really enjoyed that. I could have gone on that interview where I interviewed Peter about his new book, the CMO Handbook, and I could have gone on there for an hour or longer talking to him.
Yeah, and I think part of what I felt like at the conference, it was really, it was inside the C-suite, right? It's what do these guys do? What do we do every day? What are some of the problems we have? And I think the only thing that you'll see for the next show is try to emphasize the people who really did tell a good personal story and really drove a feeling or an action or an activity, and I like that a lot. Even Judith Glazer with her panel did a really good job with that.
So every single one of the things that we had at the conference was designed to reach different aspects of C-suite life, and whether it was professional or personal, or content. we were trying to do different things with each one. So not all of them were going to be perfect for everybody, and just like there were some people I know that didn't care for Steve as much, but I was looking for something that was more personally inspirational at that moment, and he gave me that, and that was really cool. But there were others that gave a lot more in terms of how you should structure your office or company, like Avery Strait, who's the Chief Revenue Officer of Axiom, and she did a great job about how to make it like a movie cast and how to do it like a movie. And I thought, well, that was pretty interesting. And then oh my gosh, my good friend from T-Mobile, the Chief Sales Officer there, that was an unbelievable about their business model and what they're doing about no contracts and how they're switching that business off and how taking that risk and just being honest with the customer, it works. And I thought that was a really, really cool example. So it was lots of different stuff. I mean,
that was a great transparent type interview. So let me ask you. Yeah, let me ask you one. Yeah, he was sort of.
Well, he's Scottish.
He's bold, brash.
That's like T-Mobile. That's what T-Mobile. I mean, look, you think about everything about T-Mobile right now. It is bold, brash, bright, and in your face kind of stuff. And it lived true to that. Drew Kelton. It was a great interview.
So you asked this question a lot of what what I, Jeffrey Hayzlett, can do for you. But let me ask you this: those that are listening, watching, if there's one thing we could do for Jeffrey Hayzlett, what would it be?
Engage. I think that's always the cool thing. We get engaged in some way, shape, or form. I learn from you, you learn from me, and we all learn together. All boats rise. And most people don't always know this about me, but I really truly try to be in a servant mentality, and that's what I always say. Hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Because I know if I help you, you're going to help me, and in one way, shape, or form. Even if it's nothing more than making me feel better about helping you, that's a pretty good deal too.
So, and I like that, and that actually is true and honest and straightforward. I appreciate it. So we're getting close to the end of the half hour, and it's tight for you. Is there a particular question or a thought or a comment, or actually before that, Michael, do you have a particular question for Jeff? Otherwise, Jeff, is there something we didn't ask you that we should have?
I have no idea. I don't know. I'm not aware of the things I'm not aware of, so there we go. Michael probably got something he wants to jump in on.
No, I'm good. This has been an excellent interview.
Michael, you got to quit talking so much.
I know. I'm just a chatterbox.
You are. Man, how many 5-hour energy drinks have you had today? I'm throwing a commercial right here. There's one right there. I'm going to do a commercial. I'll drink about too many of these today, actually.
Hey, we need to go after those guys as sponsors. Got that?
You should. You should. It's a product placement right there. That's you're learning on those, and that's what you do. But I don't do anything for these guys. And by the way, this is my second interview today, and I haven't had any of these yet. So now it's time for one.
Yeah, because I did notice that you drink those versus coffee.
I don't drink coffee, and I've just recently given up soda.
So what is this fascination? The one thing that if you follow Jeffrey, you're going to see the word bacon at least 2 or 3 times a week. What is this bacon fascination?
Oh, man, bacon and fat. There's nothing wrong with that, man. All the way around. Just bacon's great. I mean, you can't beat it. And then, once people find out you like it, it doesn't make a difference whether you like it or not anymore. You're still going to get it, so it's okay. I love bacon. Bacon's awesome. I mean, I love the smell of bacon. I love the taste of it. I love to eat it. I'd make a bacon suit if I could make a bacon suit, but Lady Gaga already beat me to that.
There is I was in a candy shop in Los Gatos the other day. They had bacon flavored cotton candy.
Oh, cotton candy? I've never seen that. Now, chocolate I've gotten. Someone just recently brought me a chocolate bar made with bacon, and it quite frankly, I got to be clear with it, it sucked, and it wasn't very good. They should keep the chocolate out and just leave the bacon. Don't mess with bacon. It's good enough the way it is.
Michael, do you have any
own food group? It needs to be its own food
group. Michael, any last-minute comments or thoughts?
No, I think we're good.
All right, hey Jeffrey, this was as I expected, fairly amazing. You're one of those thought leaders that I really look up to. I watch. You learn a lot, and the thing is, if you want to interact with Jeffrey Hayzlett, you can. Just once again, make it quick, straightforward. Tell him what you want super quickly. Don't make him sign an NDA because he won't before you tell your idea. But I love watching what you're doing, and look forward to continue to seeing you grow and you rise, and helping the C-suite executives around the world be more successful.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks so much. It's a pleasure being with both of you guys. And why did it take you so long to get me on this show? Next time, let's go a lot faster and quicker and sooner.
You got it, my friend. Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Cheers.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you next week on Thought Leader Life.
Bye, guys.